Hello. Okay. Okay, team.
Do you remember last week we were dealing with my mom and Phyllis?
Yeah.
Right? Here's my mom, here's Phyllis. We have a new character today. Her name is Stacy. She lives on the other side. So like Phyllis, my mom, Stacy, right? The idea is the same. We have to make the denominators the same so that if we can make all the denominators the same, we can multiply by that thing and get rid of the fractions. So I see that this one has 18, this one has 6, and this one has 3. I want to find a least common denominator, and so I'm actually going to take out anything. I'm going to not take out, I'm going to multiply times whatever I need to make their backyards the same. Does that make sense? So if I have 18, 6, and 3, what's the least common multiple between those numbers? Well, 3 is the smallest number that goes into them, but I need a number that they can all make. Like 18 can't make 3. 24. We could use 18, right? Because 3 times 6 would be 18, and 6 times 3 would be 18, and 18 times 1, right? So in order to make these the same, I would multiply this one times 6, which means I also have to multiply the top times 6. What would I multiply the middle one by? 6, 2, or 3, baby silent? 3, okay. 3. 3 and 3. And then do I need to multiply that 18 times anything? No, because it's already 18. Right? What would that make this fraction? 24x over 18 plus 15x? 15 over 18 is equal to what? 23 over 18. Okay, the good news about each of these things being 18 is that once we have everything 18, I can multiply this times 18 and this times 18. That's gonna, 18 divided by 18 makes 1. And then if you imagine this 18 is being distributed into both of them, which means that the 18 can cancel with everything here. Which is gonna mean that I'm left with 24x plus 15 equals 23. All of backyards can cancel out. You don't have to write it. Just leave it there, because we're gonna have to multiply this times something, and then you can just combine those straight. You don't actually want to factor it, even if you could. Okay, so I have 24x plus 15 equals 23. Can I solve this now? Yeah. Yeah, pretty easy. What do I do? Subtract 15.
Get 24x
Equals 8, you said, baby Sat? Alright, and then?
divide by 24.
Divide by 24.
And then you calculate that and simplify it by 8. You get 1 over 3.
Simplify by 8, and I get 1 over 3. 1 over 3. Absolutely. I'm just going to check back and look here. You guys remember how we've been spending all this time doing like x cannot equal something, x cannot equal something. In the denominators here, it's just 18. There's no variables, and so x can be whatever we want it to be, right? As we look forward, we're going to look to make sure that x is not conflicting with something that we got, right? So we'll see it. It will come up in one of our examples. So just, we're going to be aware. Cool. Questions about this first one? This is like the baby level, right? This is like what we would do with just numbers, and I want to move us to factoring. Okay? So go ahead and look at this one here. The first step always, right, is to factor. Right, so I'm going to start by factor. What can I factor within this problem?
The middle?
The middle, the denominator, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to split this up.
3 and negative 2.
Positive 3 and negative 2?
Yeah.
Positive 3 and negative 2. Baby Sana, did you do the x factor or did you do it in your head? Nice. So negative 6, need 2 numbers, and then adding to positive 1. All right, so now we turned this section into this. All right, so now let's think about our characters. Here's Phyllis, my mom, and Stacy, right? Who's jealous?
Phyllis.
Phyllis and also Stacy. right? My mom's chilling. She's got everything, right? Why is Phyllis jealous?
She wants negative x.
She wants x minus 2, right? So I'm gonna go grab an x minus 2 from Home Depot. X minus 2. And then why is Stacy jealous?
She wants x plus 3.
She wants an x plus 3. Perfect. Cool. So, in my orange fraction, what am I gonna end up with here? What's on the top?
2x minus 4.
So x minus 4. And in the past, we haven't factored them, or haven't distributed them in. But I'm going to distribute here because I want to be able to add it to whatever is here. Right? I want to be able to combine those things. It's easier to combine them if they're already distributed. So we distribute, and I'm left with, what's on the bottom here?
X plus 3, x minus 2.
X plus 3, x minus 2. Totally. Do we need to change the pink fraction at all? No, so that was just chilling. Notice I'm gonna leave these empty. I know what goes in them is x plus 3 and x minus 2, but I don't want to keep writing that over and over. So I'm just gonna leave them there so that I know they're like placeholders. And then what about the green one?
And x plus 30 over x minus 4.
Cool. Over the two parentheses. Okay, so how did we get rid of the 18 up here? By multiplying by 18, right?
Yeah.
Right, and we were able to do that because all of them are able to be multiplied by 18, right? So Helen, do you have, look at you, I'm trying to like drag this up. Just kidding. Helen, what do you think we need to do in order to get rid of these parentheses? Yeah, multiplied by them, right? So I'm gonna use another color just so we can keep up here. I'm gonna multiply by x plus 3 and x minus 2. I'm gonna do that on both sides. X plus 3, x minus 2, like this. And that's gonna cancel, this would obviously distribute in, cancel here and here and there. And then this, and this, this, and this. Okay. Amy, what's gonna be left over?
2x minus 4 plus 2 equals 10x plus 30.
10x plus 30. Perfect. So we end up with basically just our numerators, right? Just our numerators. Go ahead and solve that on your own paper. You should get a negative answer. You should get a whole number, should be an integer, and it should be negative. Just letting you ready?
Yeah.
Message right?
I'm okay.
Perfect. Try this one. What can we do first? Kiara, can you help me? What do I do? Subtract 2x like this, or subtract 10? I could do it either way. Which one do you want? Subtract to 10x? Subtract 10x on both sides. And that gives me negative 8x. Did you combine these or not yet? Combine them. So negative 4 plus 2.
is negative 2. 30.
And then you add 2.
Negative 8x equals. Okay.
Divide negative 8.
Do I divide the 8? I mean, sorry, the x or no? I want to leave the x on that side, right? So I'm going to leave the x there. X equals negative 4. I'm going to go back. I'm going to just check. I'm going to go back to my original answers, or my original denominator.
What was x not allowed to be up here? Like, what would my infinity still to be right here?
Negative 3 and positive 2.
Negative 3 and positive 2. So x is not allowed to be negative 3 or positive 2. Is it allowed to be negative 4? Yeah. If I put negative 4 plus 3, that'd be negative 1. That's okay. Negative 4 minus 2 would be negative 6. That's okay. So both of those are fine. Okay. Are we ready to try one that's very similar? See if we got it? All right. Let's go ahead and flip over. Take a look at this one. Take a second to try to factor on your own. See how far you can get. Remember, we're factoring just the denominators. All right, who can help? Who can help? Who can help? What can we do?
I see so much work. Somebody tell me.
X factor.
X factor what?
The bottom.
The bottom. What do I get?
Square plus 8x.
This part here. And I'm turning it into what?
3 and 5. X plus 2.
X plus 3, X plus 5. I'm hearing lots of baby silence voice. Haley, you agree with this factoring? Okay. So then, Haley, what does the, well, let's use a different color. What does this fraction need? What does Stacy need?
X plus 5.
X plus 5. Cool. All right, and then what does Phyllis need?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. Like that. Perfect. Okay. Then what?
We cancel the denominators out by
Okay.
multiplying them on each side.
I'm gonna multiply them on each side, and that's gonna cancel all of them out, right? So now I would have, I'm gonna distribute, I'd have 2x squared plus 6x minus everything here. So I'd have x squared minus x minus 10.
So I'm gonna be really careful when I'm putting this negative here because I'm subtracting that whole entire thing. So really this is minus x squared minus a negative x is gonna turn positive, and minus negative 10 is gonna turn positive.
Is equal to, what's on the other side of the equal sign? 3x plus 15. So I have 2x squared minus x squared. What would that be? What's that? Why x squared?
2 minus 1.
Yeah, 2 minus 1, right? So x squared. So 1x squared if you want.
And then I have 6x minus negative x.
This is like 6x minus a negative would be positive. 6x plus x would be,
7x.
and then I have the negative 10, which would make
Positive 10. So we're like distributing that in there. Okay, and then I think
we got here. What do I do now? I can do another x factor. I don't want to do an x factor until I do what to this side?
Subtract it out.
Subtract it and make it equal 0. Remember when we're solving with the x squared in it, we have to make it 0.
So Jesselyn, what do I do?
Subtract negative 3x to 7x.
Okay. And what else?
And also subtract 15 to positive 10.
Okay. So I have x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals 0.
And then now that I have this, can I still x factor this?
Yes. Okay. So I'd have negative 5 and positive 4. What would that x factor into? Minus 1, positive 5. Does that work? Okay. So x minus 1, x plus 5 equals 0, right? So what would x be equal to here?
1.
And what would it be equal? And negative 5. So these are my two answers.
Those are my two answers.
The one thing I do need to double check, I'm gonna go back to my original problem, which I really scribbled out. So I'm gonna unscribble this real fast.
What is x not allowed to be? Negative 3 and negative 5, right? But didn't we just say that x equals negative 5? Right, so this is what's called an extraneous solution.
Right? This is actually not, whoa. This is actually not a solution at all. The only solution is x equals 1. This is called extraneous. So yes, it's one of the things that we got
As we were moving through our process here, but it doesn't work in the original problem. If we put negative 5 in the original problem, we would get no solution, right? We'd get an error because negative 5 plus 5 is 0.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Huh? Does that make sense? So even though we came up with two answers, there's only one. All right. One last one. Okay.
One of these doesn't have a fraction. What do we do? Can we make it a fraction?
Over 1.
Just put it over 1, right? Put it over 1.
All right. Who's jealous and of what? They're all jealous. Okay, so what are they jealous of?
Well, these guys already have a y minus 2, right? What do they need?
They need a 6, right? Does the 6 include the 1? No? We should multiply times the 1 and a 6 here?
No, that wouldn't make a difference.
I want to make a difference, right? So the 1 is included in the 6. Right, so the one has nothing, but each of these guys already have a 1.
We could put a 1 here. It wouldn't matter. Wouldn't change our problem at all. All right, so instead of the 1, we're going to put a 6 here. I need to also multiply times 6 here. So then what is my mom jealous of in the middle? They want the y minus 2, right? As well as a 6. They want both. So times 6 times y minus 2. And then what is the last one jealous of? A y minus 2. And a y minus 2.
Okay. Does everyone have now 6 y minus 2s? So 6 times y minus 2, 6 times 1, that'd be 6 y minus 2, and 6 times y minus 2. So everyone has the same denominator now,
Which means that we can eliminate it by multiplying both sides by 6 y minus 2. That.
what is that going to leave us left with?
$30. How do we get 30? 6 times 5 plus what?
2.
2 times 6 times y minus 2, right?
Yeah, you can definitely multiply 2 times 6, that would be 12, right? And then what are we going to do with the 12? Distribute the 12 in, right?
So we're taking the 12 and distributing it here and here. What would that leave us with? 12y minus 24. Good job. And that's equal to, what is this equal to? 17y minus 34, yeah.
Okay. Strategically, I see that there's 12 y's here and 17 y's here. I would move the 12 y's over there so that my y's don't become negative. Some people like to leave their y's on the left side because that's how you read a problem. Or on the left side here, but I like to move mine over.
So I'm gonna move the 12y over. Which means I need to move the 34 over here.
I'd do 30 plus 34 minus 24. So 30, that'd be 64. Minus 24 would be 40.
Equals to 5y. Divide 5. Y equals 8. Yes. What is that last step that I need to do? Y is not allowed to be.
What would this be? Positive 2, right? So we know it's not allowed to be positive 2. Does that change anything about our answer? No, because we got 8, right? So we know that our answer
Answer is correct. Like, subscribe.